Apocalypse Gaming.
So I've still to do the bit where the nameplate as well that would read school will go. I'm not going to put school on there, I think I'll put something a bit different. But I've still to do that, so I'm using Vallejo 004 Off-White. Again, I don't use the pure white, this is more of a ivory stipe tone. Just realised that I've not done the planks away on the ground or on the side of the bus. I'll need to come back and do them in a second. A dull moment. So as I've stated already, I use the off-white rather than a pure white, just as at our scale I feel it works better than the stronger toned pure whites and pure blacks. I also start fixing the wood here because I forgot to do that, moved ahead the process and forgot to take the white back a wee bit to add a bit of warmth to the cold tones that I'd just created. So that's all I'm doing there. And again, sorry about this being off camera, I hadn't realised that I was painting just above where the camera lens was focused. So whilst that faceplate is drying, I've done a wee test fit of these to see how they'll look on the roof, and they look good enough from above, but we're definitely going to have an overlap. We're going to see more of the underneath, so I'm going to have to just do the underneath of these a wee bit better. I'll quickly do that off camera because it's the exact same process we've been through and I don't want to waste your time. So I've sat the rest of the wooden panels away now because I've base coated the underside, and I've got these barrels still to do all then of this mud as well, but that'll just get tied in with the mud I've already done. The barrels I'm going to use GW's Midnight Blue, largely for no other reason than I have still tons of these old GW pots left and I want to use them up, so largely just because of that I'm using a GW colour, and it's just to give us something different from the yellows and the reds and the rust tones that we're going to have, that I'm hitting it with the blue. Looking at the piping that's coming out of it, it looks to me like a rubber piping rather than a copper piping, so it'll be a grey rubber tone no doubt that I use on them. Well, it might go with red. We'll see. So some of my friends over in the US were probably cringing just a little while back when I started painting this white. They're normally white in the UK. They ain't white in America. Seems to be a yellow metal plate, pretty much the same sort of tone on most of the reference photos I've looked at as the bus. That'll teach me to actually pay attention to my reference stuff before pushing on. Same on the back, I've been wondering what that was. That's also supposed to say school bus. So I've got a choice. I either paint that white or I paint that yellow. Haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, so I'll leave off that at the minute. And what I'm going to go on and do is work on the lights. So I've undercoated everything silver so that these stand off, and I'm going to do my red and yellow lights. And I'll need to look at my reference photos again because I forgot which one's which, but it's one on the outside and one on the inside. And from the reference photos I've also discovered that whichever one this is, which I think is red, it's the second one in, and vice versa, and these are white lights. So I'll just leave them probably silver to give the idea of the reflector plate and do the diagonally opposite ones of them. So the paints I'm going to be using are my Tamiya clears, and that way that shows on top of the silver and looks like a lens. If you're using Tamiya paints, make sure you get some X20A thinner. That's the stuff to use to clean your brush of all the Tamiya paint, because it's not quite, again, an acrylic paint. Although it says acrylic paint, it's slightly different the way they put it together, so you do need to use their thinners. So it's red to the outside on the top. I'm just using it straight out the jar. I love these paints as well. Tamiya clears are just gorgeous. Try and bring that a bit closer and get some light on it. I don't think there is a better clear paint out there on the market. I really don't. It takes roughly 1 hour to dry per coat. Because I'm just dotting it on, I will need to go in deeper later because I'm not thinning it. Because I really want that ruby lens effect. Because it's a slightly tacky style of paint. Unless you're careful, you run the risk of pulling some of it away as you work with it. I'll quickly check my reference photo, just make sure it's red to the outside on the front. Yeah, it's red to the outside. Not really what we're doing, but as we're using the Tamiya Clear, it's a great paint for blood effects, especially if you mix it with a little ooh-hoo and you want some gore. It looks great, the two mixed together. So, get my brush cleaned and then we'll do the orange. Okay, I've demonstrated this tool before. It's a Mr. Hobby tool. And it does Mr. Hobby, Krios paints and Tamiya paints. The lids on these, if you haven't cleaned the pot properly, they weld. They really do weld. So this tool's been designed for taking them off. And it's just wee rubber grip and that there. And that's the lid loosened. I couldn't do that by hand. It was welded solid, but managed to get it apart. So we know where the orange is going. Orange is my least favourite of this range. It always feels the hardest to apply. So I'm saying orange is my least favourite. I'm thinking all the time I've owned it, I've never actually tried the yellow, so we'll discover if I like the yellow shortly. Don't think I've ever had call to use it. So it's the outside on the bottom, so it's diametrically opposite the red. And these ones there are white lights, so I'm just going to leave that silver as if it's the lens reflecting. So now we'll do the yellow for the indicators at the front. Well, looking at the state of the bottle and the quantity it's in it, somebody's used the yellow. I don't ever remember using it. Possibly did. Maybe Mithril's used it. I don't know. So, indicators. Yeah, like the yellow, it goes on really nice. So just the orange, it may be my pot orange for some reason, maybe it was a bad batch, but just the orange doesn't go on as easy as the red and the other colours that I've got. So now I need to step away for an hour because it takes to me about an hour to dry, and then I'll add another coat on. So that's the first coat dry. Then I'm going to try and go in and do the second coat, but I'm working around the light, around the camera and around the pot. So I hope you agree that Tamiya Clear, if you're not used to it, is an excellent paint for creating lens effects and things like that. It's also fantastic if you paint it on the inside of a canopy and you want, say, a coloured canopy. Gives a tremendous effect doing that as well. Sure, the majority of you know the paint and use the paint, but there might be someone out there who doesn't. Apart from using real lenses, I don't know a better way of creating a lens effect on anything than this method. If somebody's got a better method of doing it, please stick it in the comments, let us all know, because we're all here to learn and learn from each other. I didn't come up with this technique, I learned it off someone somewhere. Don't know who, it's that long ago, but I learned it off someone somewhere. So that just left the yellow lenses. Looking at them, they were a bit gold, so I decided to go over with them with the orange tone. By going over them with the orange tone, though, it gave a slightly different tone to just the straight orange, which I was happy with, because it then left an indicator tone versus the warning light tone. And after that, that's the lenses done, and just leave them for an hour to dry before I go on and do something else. So that's the end of part 5, and we'll see you in the next part.
Apocalypse Gaming.